All right, buckle up. We're going deep on Gautam Adani today, and let me tell you, this guy's story is something else. We've got a mountain of info to sift through articles, stock reports, even this whole YouTube deep dive that's been making the rounds.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it, how this company went from like a small trading outfit to one of the biggest players in India. Ports, power plants, the works.
Yeah, talk about a real rags to riches story, huh? One article I came across really dug into Adani's early life. Born into a pretty modest family, drops out of college at 16, moves to Mumbai to work with diamonds.
Wow, 16.
Yeah, you get this sense of ambition right from the get-go.
Totally. Sounds like he was never one to just sit still. And, those early days in the diamond trade, that's huge. He would have learned so much. Understanding global markets, managing risk, building a reputation, all those things become the foundation of his, well, empire is what they're calling it.
And then 1985 rolls around, a big year for India and especially for Adani. The Rajiv Gandhi government, they decide to deregulate imports and boom, Adani's trading business explodes. We're talking everything, plastics, chemicals, you name it, he was importing it. Do you think he saw this coming or was it just pure luck?
I mean, who knows? Maybe a little of both, but luck or not, his timing was impeccable. It was a period of massive economic change in India, liberalization with the buzzword, and Adani, he was smart enough to ride that wave. It's one thing to spot an opportunity, it's another to actually seize it.
Yeah, that seems to be a theme with this guy. But then in 1995, there's another turning point, and it all revolves around this place, Mundra Port in Gujarat. This wasn't just any deal, this was the deal, the one that really laid the groundwork for everything.
What's so interesting is how it all began with something that, on the surface, seemed kind of, well, small. A joint venture with Cargill, they were going to produce salt. Now they needed a port, and Mundra, with its deep waters, its location, it was perfect. But Adani, he's already thinking bigger picture. Why stop at salt right? Why not make Mundra the hub, the go-to spot for, well, everything?
And that's exactly what he did. Mundra becomes India's first privately owned port, and it's off to the races. By 2014, they're operating 13 ports across India. And then, get this, comes the spending spree. 39,000 crore rupees, that's what they poured into acquiring even more ports. This wasn't just growth, this was an explosion.
Yeah, that's when you really start to grasp the sheer scale of Adani's ambition. He wasn't just building ports, he was creating a whole system. Like, think about it. He strategically places special economic zones nearby, logistics companies, even power plants, all feeding into these ports.
So he's controlling everything, the whole flow.
Exactly, it's called vertical integration. Brilliant, really, from a business perspective. When you control the goods, the infrastructure, even the energy supply, you create this closed loop. And at the center of it all, the Adani Group. It's a recipe for, well, massive profits. There's no other way to put it. And it's also where I think things start to get really interesting.
It's certainly a fascinating business model, there's no doubt about that. But this meteoric rise, well, it hasn't been without its critics. You've got this incredible success, these close ties to the government, and it all kind of sparked this whole debate about crony capitalism.
Right, and that term crony capitalism, it's a big one. We should probably unpack that a little bit because it gets at the heart of, what's considered fair play in the business world. Basically, it suggests that success isn't just about offering a great product or a better service. It's about using your relationships, your connections with powerful people to influence policies and gain an advantage.
So it's about tilting the playing field in your favor.
Exactly. And Adani's relationship with Prime Minister Modi, that's been under the microscope for a while now. Remember all those speeches Rahul Gandhi gave? Really hammering on this point. How did Adani rise so quickly, especially into so many different sectors? It's a valid question.
It is, but, and maybe I'm wrong here, but it seems a bit more nuanced than just saying Modi and Adani, they go way back, end of story. Didn't we talk about Chimanpai Patel a while back? He was a Congress politician.
You're absolutely right. And it was under Patel's leadership back in the 90s that Adani really got his start in infrastructure. So this whole idea of business and politics being intertwined in India, well, it's nothing new, and it's certainly not unique to one political party.
That's a really important point. But let's get into some specifics because I think that's where things get really interesting. One source I was looking at mentioned a CAG report, that's the Controller and Auditor General, basically like a government watchdog. And they accuse this group, the Gujarat State Petroleum Corporation, of selling natural gas to Adani Energy at a ridiculously low price, like basically just handing them a massive profit.
Yeah, I remember reading about that. And then there was that whole thing with Prime Minister Modi using Adani's private jet, right after the election.
Right. I mean, whether you see these instances as straight up cronyism or just, savvy business maneuvering, it definitely raises some questions. Like, is everyone playing by the same rules?
Transparency is key, and that's something that's been questioned a lot.
For sure. And then there's the whole airport situation. It's like overnight, Adani's company becomes India's biggest private airport operator. 6 airports, Ahmedabad, Lucknow, Mangalore, Jaipur, Guwahati, Thiruvananthapuram, all going to the Adani Group. How does that even happen? Was it just a really good business deal? Or did someone somewhere bend the rules a little?
Well, the government did make some changes to the rules around that time. Their argument was that they wanted to encourage more competition, bring in more investment, which in theory could benefit the government financially. But yeah, even if you want to give them the benefit of the doubt, it definitely looked a little suspicious.
So we've got ports, power plants, airports. But it doesn't stop there, does it? Adani's reach goes even further. Like, take the Hasdeoran jungle in Chhattisgarh. There was a huge controversy there over coal mining.
Oh yeah, that was a big one. It really highlighted how complex these issues are, this whole
Yeah.
intersection of business, politics, and the environment. So Adani Enterprises, they were contracted to mine coal for Rajasthan State Electricity Company.
Right.
And here's the thing. The Supreme Court had actually canceled similar contracts in the past because of corruption concerns. But for whatever reason, Adani's deal, it got an exception.
And then you have this push to expand the mining area even further, even with reports that this expansion isn't even necessary and that it's going to wipe out thousands of trees. It's a mess. You've got protests erupting, accusations that Adani's putting profit over the environment and the government's caught in the middle trying to balance their energy needs with, well, not completely destroying the environment. And just when you think this whole saga couldn't get any wilder, boom, the Hindenburg report drops. Talk about shaking things up.
Yeah, like a bombshell out of nowhere.
Seriously.
So you've got this New York short-selling firm, Hindenburg Research. They release this report, and it's not pretty. Accusations of stock manipulation, using shell companies to hide funds, racking up massive debt. I mean, we're talking serious allegations here.
And the market, well, they definitely noticed.
Oh yeah, it sent shockwaves through the whole thing.
And Adani's personal wealth, it's like it just vanished overnight.
Billions gone, just like that.
Yeah.
It was a massive fall from grace.
It was. You had to wonder, could he recover from something like that?
Right. What happens to an empire built on, well, what some were now calling a foundation of smoke and mirrors?
Right.
But here's the thing about Adani. The guy's a fighter.
He's got that ambition still, that drive.
Absolutely. Didn't back down,
Yeah.
came out swinging, called the Hindenburg report baseless, even threatened to sue.
Yeah.
But he didn't stop there. Remember that deal he made with Abu Dhabi conglomerate International Holding?
Oh, yeah. Huge deal.
Right. Bringing in major foreign investors like that, that was a power move. Sent a clear message, we're still a good bet, we're not going anywhere. And then he goes out and makes those massive acquisitions, ACC and Ambuja Cement. I mean, those are not the moves of someone who's down for the count.
So he's back on the offensive.
Exactly. And then you have the Supreme Court. They decide against a CBI inquiry into the Hindenburg allegations. That's a win for Adani, no doubt about it.
Big win. So where does that leave us? What's the takeaway from all of this?
I think it's this. Adani's story, it's more than just one guy's rise and fall. It's a reflection of India itself. The ambition, the breakneck growth, the ethical questions, the sheer complexity of it all, that's India in a nutshell.
It's fascinating and a little bit terrifying all at the same time, isn't it?
Totally. And I think that's what makes it so compelling.
So what's next for Gautam Adani? What's next for India? What do you think?